What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we're going to be ranking the best power forwards in my team. So lads, before we get onto it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We put more my team content here than anywhere else. Right now we are 100 subscribers off 284,000, so we're trying to 285,000 by the end of the month. If we could do that, that would be absolutely insane, lads. Even if we don't, sure, look, it is what it is. Videos aren't going to stop, don't worry. And with the injury, there's going to be more videos on the LB Ball Daily channel. I think that's going to make a comeback. But yeah, so anyway, now we are going to go onto this tier list. So the first player is Aaron Gordon. I'm going to put Aaron Gordon in B tier. I don't know how I feel about Gordon. Like, I'm kind of torn between whether or not Gordon is going to go B tier or A tier, because Gordon kind of does everything well. He can handle the ball. He's actually a very good shooter off the catch. His dribble is not, or obviously his defense isn't bad. He's got good defensive badges. His defensive stats aren't the greatest, but none of them are bad. So for me, like, Aaron Gordon, I think Aaron Gordon maybe A tier is probably better for him. Like, is he as good as a Josh Smith? No. But is he just good in general? Yeah, I think he's good, man. I think he's really good. So, yeah, if you guys don't agree, that's fine. But no, I think he's gonna go A tier. So then we have got. After that, we have got Andre Karolinko. I'm going to put AK in B tier. I'm going to put AK in B tier. The reason why I'm putting AK in B tier is that, I mean, he just kind of is, isn't he? Like, he's not a bad player by any means, but I think B tier is the right spot for him. He was good for his time. Like, his time was, like, when he was first out in the game, he was a really solid card. I can't lie, like, he was a really solid card. But problem is, as time went on, there were just better players, wasn't there? Or if just been better players. So I'm actually gonna put him lower because I don't think Jameson's C tier. I think Jameson's okay. Like, I don't think Antoine Jameson is a bad player per se, but again, I don't think he's anything spectacular. So he's going to go into C tier. He doesn't do anything wrong, but he also doesn't really do anything right, which is why he's going where he's going. I think he's a perfectly fine player in game, but nah, I don't think you really put him any higher than C tier. Anthony Davis. Now, Anthony Davis is a player that I think is okay. I think all around, Gordon's going to offer a little bit more than Anthony Davis in terms of just in-game. I know if you want to argue the other way. If you want to argue the other way, I'm cool with it. But for me, I think that just in terms of just a slight advantage. Not a big one. Not a big one, but I do think there's like a slight advantage for Gordon over Davis. Billy Cunningham, I'm going to put, at this stage in the game, I'm going to have to put Billy Cunningham in D tier. At this stage, like, is he bad? No. Like, he's really not a bad player. But I mean, I just have to though, don't I? I really just have to, because it's tough. Because there are a lot of good players in my team. And I think he's 6'6". He doesn't really move that well. His jumper is okay. Yeah, he's going to go D tier. He's going to go D tier. Blake S. Blake is so good, man. Blake is actually so good. Like, I'm surprised at how good Blake Griffin is. Like, I've really been surprised at how Blake is. Because I just thought he was, again, just spectacular. Like, when I used him, he's one of the best players in the game, period. Like, no question about that. Like, He's one of the best shooters in the game. He's one of the best ball handling power forwards in the game. He's a really good defensive power forward. Blake Griffin, I think, belongs it's a no-brainer. He's a no-brainer S tier inclusion. It's not even like there's a, oh, maybe, maybe not. No, he's absolutely no-brainer in S tier. So for me, yeah, that's where he's going. If you want to put him in a different tier, I'm cool with it. Actually, no, I'm not. He's like the one player that's obviously on there. Bob Nedelicki. Holy crap, Bob Nedelicki's good. Bob Nedelicki is so good in game. And we've gotten a lot of really good players. Well, like Bob Nedelicki is another one that is fantastic. So Nedelicki's in there. In S tier, just because he's like a power forward Luka Doncic. And that's probably the best way I can describe the guy. Is he is like a power forward Luka Doncic, which is, I mean, crazy when you think about it. He's going to shoot the ball really well. He's going to move really well. He's going to handle the ball well. Honestly, he's going to dunk pretty well. There are no flaws. There are no flaws, honestly, with this card. So I'm going to put him into S tier. Again, I just think he's a super slept on player. Or is he not a super slept on player? He's just a super good player that people are not actually realizing just how good he is. I know people are kind of not talking about how good he is because he's an unlimited reward, but no, he's the best unlimited reward we've had since Glenn Rice, and that's saying something. Pettit's going to go B. Pushing A. Pettit's really good. Pettit's really good. Again, for me, the only issue with Bob Pettit is that his release is good, but he doesn't really move that well. Like, he's an all-around solid player, but in terms of just pure movement, I wouldn't say that he's the greatest. But like, that's it. That's it. That's the reason he's in B tier. I just think Aaron Gordon moves a little better. We're going A tier for Bol Bol. And that's the reason why, again, we're putting Bob Pettit. Like, Aaron Gordon might get moved down to B. Is that, like, we've only got, like, I always put 5 players in S tier. And I think the Bol Bol's not in the top 5. I think it's a really close one, but I would not put Bol Bol in my top 5. No, I know 2 I would definitely put in over Bol Bol. And base Bol Bol's probably, yeah, he's not in the top 5, but it's a close one. Bol Bol's still, he's Bol Bol. Like, is there any other way to describe that? Like, we know what Bol Bol is like. We know how good this card is always in my team. Like, we just know he's always going to be able to shoot. He's always going to be able to be long. He's always going to be 7'2". And he's going to go into A tier. Now, Weber, I think Weber is slightly better than the likes of AD and Bob Pettit. Like, Weber, for me, is just, again, he was free. He was easy to get. Did I get him? No. Like, there are better players in the game than Chris Webber. Without question, there are better players than Chris Webber. But I think he plays a role well. He's an all-around solid. And, yeah, he's going to go A tier. Leitner. Now, Leitner is tough. Leitner's between B and A. Leitner is definitely between B and A. And he's got a good release, base 31. He's 6'11", so he has his good height. But other than that, I don't know. I think he's an okay but not spectacular defender. I think you can make the argument that AD's better than him. He's going to go B. I'm going to go D tier for now for this card here. Because I think the way the game is played, I think in today's game, Cliff Robinson's going D tier. I do think Cliff Robinson had his time. I think Cliff Robinson really did have his time back in the day. Like, when he first came out, he was really good. But I just think since then, players have just gotten better. I'm going to put Issel in C tier. And I don't think Issel's a bad player. I think Dan Issel's more than solid. He's like more than usable. In my team, he's like a solid shooter. He's just a solid all-around player. There's no real flaws with this card here. So I'm just going to go... Honestly, I'm just going to put him into C tier. Ferry... Look, I prefer Ferry to... I'm putting Ferry in S. I'm putting Ferry in S tier. I like Ferry more than most people do. And like, I understand why most people put him into A tier, but for me, Ferry's going to S tier. Ferry, for me, his release is so easy. I think, find him, again, as I said in Ty's video, the guy's training wheels. Anyone, no matter what level you are at this game, you can have huge success with Danny Ferry. And like, there are players in the game that are like that, but there are not that many. Like, that is one of those things that people don't really notice, is that like, Ferry, yeah, and at a competitive level, is Ferry like the greatest, best thing since sliced bread? No, he's not. Like, there are better players than him at a competitive level, but like, when we're talking purely like unlimited, playing against players that are pretty decent at the game, or if you're like a beginner and you're watching one of these top 100 lists, like, Ferry can be that guy for you. Ferry can really be that guy for you. Ferry's flawless as a player. Like, any of his problems are, oh, maybe his stats just aren't quite good enough. Maybe his like, you just kind of struggle maybe with his animations. But like, for me, nah, Ferry has to go in S. Danny Manning's B. Danny Manning was probably the most overrated player in Ty's top 100. Like, Danny Manning is okay. That's the only way I can describe the guy. Is like, he doesn't even come with range. His stats are okay. Badges are okay. Everything about this card is just okay. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. Because, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think he's A. He's definitely not A. But like, for him versus Leitner, I think he is quite comparable to a Christian Leitner. So I'm going to put him in B tier. Dave the Butcher. Now, Dave the Butcher's going B tier. I would love to put Dave the Butcher in A tier. Like, I would really love to put the Butcher in A tier. I'm a massive fan of this card here. But I know that that's just not the right tier to put him in. I know he's just a fine card in this game. Like, the Butcher's offense is non-existent. The Butcher's defense, though, like, there's a reason why he's my on-ball defender on Team Heart. Because the guy can genuinely just lock down anybody. His tendencies are great. His animations are great. His jumper is great. Like, if he's wide open, he's in the corner, he'll hit shots. But, like, he's definitely not A tier. He's definitely not A tier. Rodman. I'm putting Rodman in C tier. I think Rodman is a step below, like, the AKs of the world. I think Rodman came out right after AK, and like, most people would have said AK was better. I think he's a step below. But like, Rodman's perfectly fine as a player in game. Like, if you want to use Rodman, you can. Dolph, I'm putting Dolph in that B tier. That B tier is going to have almost every cap. We got to put our worthless players in. And like, if we're talking about this list, Dougie McBuckets is worthless. He's actually terrible. Like, if you know anything about like Doug McDermott's release and stuff, or sorry, Doug McDermott's just overall just game, it's terrible. He's like 100 times worse Kyle Korver. Maybe he gets moved up a tier because Terry Cummings legitimately stinks. But like, Doug McBuckets is terrible. Like, he is actually terrible. So yeah, that's two of our worthless tier kind of sorted anyway. Cummings is awful. Like, I don't care that Cummings is a Galaxy O, but Cummings is awful in game. Okay, so you see, Elvin Hayes sucks as well. Elvin Hayes really sucks. I don't think any of these other guys like are terrible other than these guys. No, I think we've got like our terrible. We've got our like terrible players out of the way, but I mean, it's not saying much. Like, the other guys aren't particularly good either, so. Okay, so then we have got Mobley. I'll put Mobley. I meant to put him in B tier. Mobley's fine. Mobley's at like the AD level. Mobley is a perfectly fine card in game. He's not brilliant at anything by any means. He's got length. He can shoot the ball. He can handle the ball well. He's fine. And I'm also putting. I don't know, Giannis. I preferred AK to Giannis when they came out, and I stand by that. Like, the day they came out on January the 22nd, I preferred Andre Kirilenko to Giannis, and I stand by it. And obviously, if you add badges to Giannis, or if you're like very, very solid at the game, you're good with Giannis' release. Giannis is going to be better. But I think for the majority of people, Giannis is going to play at a similar level to these guys in B tier. Jayshawn Tate, he's 6'4". Like, I can't put him in. If he was a 2-guard small forward, we'd be talking about this guy a bit differently. But he's not. But he's not a 2-guard small forward, so there's no points in that. S tier for James Worthy. Worthy's so good. Worthy's so freaking good in game, lads. Like, Worthy's jumpers, okay. Like, that base 22 on very quick is alright. Even with the weird upper. His movement is pretty good. He's like a way better version of Thurl. And like, Thurl's not even an S tier, by the way. Thurl's not even an S tier. I got Ferry over Thurl. Like, I know a lot of people wouldn't have Thurl this high, but I mean, I do. Wouldn't have Worthy this high, but I do. Jerry Lucas. Now, I don't know whether I want to put Jerry Lucas in D tier. I'm going to put Jerry Lucas in worthless tier. I'm going to put Jerry Lucas down here because Jerry Lucas sucks. Jerry Lucas genuinely sucks. So he's going down into this tier. Like, he's got a chest pass upper. Kind of ruins the Ray Allen base. I'm going to go B tier again for EG and Lian. Like, that's so many of these cards are like at the same tier. Like, this B tier is literally, you can describe them all as decent height, decent wingspan, decent defenders, and mainly corner shooters. That's how you describe every one of these guys is mainly a corner shooter. So yeah, we got Leitner in B tier as well. Josh Smith though is going A tier. Josh Smith is so good. Again, I would love to put Josh Smith in S tier. He's not as good as Danny Ferry. He's not as good. Like, Ferry's my last spot in. Ferry would be like my worst S tier player. And like, Josh Smith is, as much as I would love for Josh Smith to be as good as Danny Ferry, he's just not. So yeah, we got Josh Smith in A tier. JT Thor. I'm putting JT Thor in C tier. I think he's so slept on. Like, he's got a huge player build. He's actually an alright player. Again, like, he came out, what was it, like the 11th of April? Yeah, he came out the 11th of April. So he's not like a new card, but I mean, JT Thor was good. Julius Randle's going to go D tier. Julius Randle's not terrible either. Like, the gap between like JT Thor and Julius Randle and these guys in worthless here is huge. Julius Randle is not terrible. I'm going to go B tier again with Kenyon Martin. Like, the amount of cards in this tier list. But like, Kenyon Martin just does exactly what these other B tier guys do. He does, though. Let me just fill out B tier. Siakam, B tier. Pau, B tier. Thurl, B tier. Like, for everyone kind of surprised at Thurl, like, of all these, like, all of these guys, I'm just putting them in the same tier. Because there's, like, a few guys that really separate themselves, and there's a few that tiny bit separate themselves out of this tier. How did Zion escape worthless? Zion is terrible. Sharif, B tier. Sharif's not bad. But Sharif is B tier. Larry Nance, B tier. Chris Webber is... Screw it. Chris Webber might get moved down to B tier. Chris Webber, you're getting moved down to B tier. That's where you mostly belong, is that B tier position. Yeah, Webber, you can go. You're going down to B tier. I think that's it for B. Millsap, B tier. Yeah, Millsap, you got B. You got B. Like, if I'm being completely honest, Kevin Garnett is probably B tier as well. Like, Kevin Garnett is somewhere between. He's somewhere between. I think Kevin Garnett would be my card to separate these tiers. Like, I prefer Aaron Gordon. You get down to B tier as well. Now it's starting to look like something. Now it's starting to look like something because I was like, Aaron Gordon. You could definitely argue that all these guys are better than Aaron Gordon. I think Josh Smith is definitely better than these guys in B tier though. I think whatever about Aaron Gordon, I think Josh Smith is definitely better. Larry Bird, C. Larry's not bad. He's just kind of slow and not very athletic. But he's actually not terrible. You can definitely get away with using Larry Bird in my team. You really can. He's a solid shooter. He's a solid defender. It's just the release is kind of slow as well. Scola sucks, man. Scola, get into Worthless. Scola absolutely stinks. Bagley kind of doesn't. Bagley's bad right now. Like, in today's game, Bagley's pretty bad. Bagley was good when he came out. He's a player that I have had quite a bit of success with. Like, I have not been bad using Marvin Bagley. I really haven't. Like, I actually kind of like this card. I kind of like Marvin Bagley. Which is a bit of a weird one, easy to be thinking, no, this card's absolutely terrible. But I kind of like him. So Marvin Bagley is going to go into... he's going to go into D tier here. Just because I can't green... Or he's green or miss. You just don't hit whites of Bagley, which is mad. But other than that, I think he's alright. Then we got Mo Lucas. Mo Lucas, he's going to have to go C. He doesn't shoot well enough. He does not shoot well enough to go above C tier. If you want to... I don't think you can argue him with these B tier guys. I just do not think he shoots the ball well enough. Straight up. And I don't think Obi Toppin is just good enough in general to be with these B tier guys. I think Obi Toppin is a C tier player, a quite weak Galaxy Opal. And then another player I'm going to put in C tier is Popper. He is supremely underrated in game. Like, he is actually alright. He's not as good as Pau Gasol. He's like a worse Pau Gasol, which is why he's a tier lower. But he's okay. Like, he is completely fine. Pop Burke is completely fine as a player. Like, he's more usable. He's chick when he's open. He'll play lanes. Like, I still use this guy to this day in my clutch time team, and he holds his own. Got good length and power forward. He's actually not terrible. Again, are you going to use this guy playing for money? No, but in general, he's better than these guys in D tier. I'm putting Penny in C tier. Purely because, like, Penny's just small. Penny's a really good player. He's not a power forward, and he can't really rebound. And he's not even great at guarding. Like, he's not even the greatest player in the world at guarding little guys. Unlike someone like a Jimmy Butler, who, like, if you switch matchups, Jimmy Butler is suddenly one of the best on-ball defenders in the game, whereas, look, he's just not great. On defense, but offensively, Penny's so good. So yeah, Penny Hardaway, get into C tier. Rick Barry, D. I would be tempted to put Rick Barry in Worthless. I think he's terrible. But I'm like, is he bad enough to go into this Worthless tier? You know, there's enough players in Worthless that I'm actually going to move Dougie McBuckets up one. It's like, I'm confident that if you give me a wide open shot, I'll score with Doug McDermott. And that kind of... I'm not quite sure I'm confident hitting wide open with anyone else in this team. And that's the reason why Doug McDermott's not in a Worthless tier. He can hit wide open. And now this is why we've got few players in A tier. We've got so few in A tier. We are going Rudy Gay in A tier. And you could definitely argue Rudy Gay in S tier. Like, for me, the worst player in S tier right now is Danny Ferry. And you could argue Rudy Gay over Danny Ferry. I prefer Ferry. I know a lot of people would have Rudy Gay over Danny Ferry, and that's completely fine. For me, it's just... I rate very, very, very highly. So yeah, that would be my that's my fourth player in S tier. You guys should know who my fifth player in S tier is. The best power forward. Well, not the best power forward in the game. The best player whose position is power forward in the game is the last player. We're also going A tier for Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is so good. Play him a small forward. He's got that release. He plays very much. For me, he's almost an equivalent of a Kawhi. I know most people are going to say, oh no, Kawhi is way better. And to an extent, I agree with you that Kawhi is probably better. But I think it's a very, very close one. I think it's a debate. So yeah, we've got him here. Then we got Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp is going to go A tier. Sean Kemp is a really good power forward. I think his movement, his shooting. I think the reason why people are like kind of people slept on this guy is because nobody has him because he was a clutch time wheel reward. Like that is probably the hardest RNG card to get in my team, the clutch time wheel. Again, as someone who's played over 1,000 games to not get any of them, I know firsthand how annoying it is. I didn't get Red, didn't get Reggie Lewis, and I did not get Sean Kemp. Like all cards that I really, really wanted on my team. But yeah, Kemp is A. Also going A is Thurl Bailey. So Thurl was a player that in my initial draft I did have going into S tier, but I decided to go with Danny Ferry instead of him. Because for me personally, I think Worthy is just a worse version of Thurl. Worthy is just a better version of Thurl. They have basically the same SIGs, except the difference is that Worthy has got a release on very quick rather than quick, and Worthy also has got a way better dribble style. But Thurl is taller, so if you want to make that argument, then I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to begrudge anyone who says that they think Worthy is better than Thurl, or Thurl's better than Worthy. I just think it's the opposite. But yeah, Thurl's going into that tier. Also going to A tier is Duncan. I think Duncan's on that Kevin Garnett level. For me, Duncan is a step higher than like an Anthony Davis, than a Opal Giannis. I just think he's an easier player to shoot with, and he just, for me, plays that little bit better defense. For me, it's just shooting is really good. He's just so chick. Again, he's another one of those, if you want to argue that shouldn't be in over like a Giannis or a AD or something like that, I'm not going to argue. I'm really not going to argue. I just like Duncan. I just like Duncan a little bit more than those guys. And I know most people don't, but again, this is my tier list, so I'm going to pick the players that I like. Tyler Hansbrough is in that B tier. He's in that giant B tier with everybody else. There are so many players that are in that B tier, and Tyler Hansbrough is another one of them. He is just going right into that tier of okay. D tier for Randall. Randall is a perfectly fine card in my team. Like, is he good? No. Is he, like, unusably bad? No. When he came out, I didn't mind him. I really didn't. I used him a little bit. He's definitely better than all these guys in Worthless. He's definitely better than all these guys. So for me, I think the most fair spot to put Julius Randle in is D tier. Because, again, he's not good enough to put in a higher tier. Like, if he was... Like, everyone C tier and above, like, are pretty decent cards. Whereas I wouldn't put Zebo release in a pretty decent category. But I also think that putting him in Worthless is crazy. And then the best player whose primary position is power forward in the game, Zion Williamson. Zion, like, the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen Ty Debo do is say Zion Williamson is the 13th best player in my team. Zion Williamson might be the best small forward in the game. Best player to run at small forward in the game. Zion is so damn good. Base 3 on very quick. Scotty behind the back. For me, he's just a better Sig Cedric Maxwell. He's at the wide player build as well. He's 6'7". Like, wide player build is something that people just kind of underestimate. It's the reason why Blake is so good on defense. It's the reason why Carmelo Anthony is so good on defense. Those wide player build players are so tough. They're so tough. So, like, he's going right here into S tier, and that is my tier list finished. So anyway, yeah, that is the video. So this is the second to last tier list of positions this month. Normally I do these in like the first 6 days, and right now it's the 10th, and we still haven't done them. So again, obviously the plan was to have them done. The injury kind of has derailed everything, but I'm thinking once I figure out how to once I really figure out how to kind of get through the pain, how to work through the pain, was the best way of doing that. I'll be uploading more videos anyway, because it's not like working. If anything, working kind of helps me forget about it a little bit. So people saying to stop making videos, trust me, that's the last thing I would ever do is stop working, because kind of working and making videos is the only thing that's kind of getting me through the day at the minute. But yeah, so that is pretty much it. That is the video. That is the tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.